Round of applause, everybody. So we're live here at Tropical Nomad every Monday, Speak Up Monday. This is episode number 395, a lot of episodes. And this is the 20th episode of our special collaboration with good friend Tracy G from Health Hub Bali. Now, for those of you who may be looking to find out where do I find the last 19 episodes of this particular Health Hub series, go online, type in SpeakuP Monday, and you'll get to a wonderful YouTube channel, and then you select the SpeakuP playlist, and you'll see the last. Welcome, my brother. You'll see the last 216. Grab a seat anywhere you like. Episodes, right? So that's one part of it. Now, the second part, which I'll go into quickly now, just come straight through the camera. That makes it different. That's good. We love you all the same. So basically, it's like this. There are three types of kind of health tourism that we want to talk about. So at the bottom, let's call it wellness tourism. So wellness tourism, the Eat, Pray, Love. You've seen Julia Roberts' beautiful, incredible movie. That's that. At the top, medical tourism. So as you know, medical tourism, Bali most recently has made a special development zone in Sanur, where there's three international hospitals coming, led by Mayo Clinic being probably the one that most people have actually heard about. Now, in the middle, we have health tourism. Now, health tourism not only bridges the gap between the two, but this is where Health Hub Bali is situated. And Tracy will tell us about Health Hub Bali in a short while. Now, the thing which I want to draw light to about this episode is that it's all about retreat tourism. Within that, let's call it within the health sector, the health tourism, as I mentioned beforehand. Now, as we all know, Bali is a mecca, globally renowned mecca for retreats of all shapes and sizes. We're talking from the find yourself wellness experience all the way through to corporate training camps and great ways to connect and grow as a team bonding experience. So what we're going to talk about tonight is, what is the difference, right? Transformation. What does it mean? What do we mean by that? These Health Hub Bali retreats, what makes them different? And why is it that, that retreats are such a good medium or a great way to enhance, to lock in, to create this transformational experience at one time? So that's what you're going to have in store for tonight. My name is Robert Ian Bonnick, the founder and the host of SpeakuP Monday, and RIB and Associates Growth Strategist in Indonesia. So to get us started, I think I know them pretty well. Some have been on the show, like Kai at the end, maybe 6 or 7 times. Tracy is up to 20 times. Janet's really on number 4 or 5. Dana's on number 2 or 3. But let's please introduce yourselves to the studio audience and those watching on either Instagram Live, Facebook Live, or YouTube Live. And we'll start from you, Kai, and we'll work our way back.
My name is Kai Jordan. I'm a relationship mentor and a transformational coach. And my history, I guess, is in holistic health and well-being. I've spent the last 13 years facilitating thousands and thousands of sessions with different modalities, trying to piece together an understanding of how human beings operate from physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual levels. And I'm really happy to be here. This is my 6th, 7th time, as you said. And I never know what we're going to say, so I'm in for a surprise as much as you guys are. So thank you for having me, Tracy.
Great. Dana, over to you.
Hi, my name's Dana Kahu. I'm a body relationship coach and a lymphatic flow specialist. For me, I help people who are struggling to feel good in their body, to work with their body and not against it, to go from force to flow, so that they can really experience what the body is trying to say to them, and then live in a way that they can thrive even while they're healing. For me, being here is just a good way to learn more about everybody that's on here and like him. I have no idea what I'm about to say, but I'll say it anyway when I get there. I'm looking forward to what it is. Yeah, thank you.
So keep your microphone, and we move over to Janet Hogan. Over to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Janet Hogan. I refer to myself as an emotional pain specialist. I think emotional pain is probably our least understood asset. So what I do is I help people go deep into their emotional pain, and when they come out the back or out through that pain, they emerge with a sense of who they really are. So the pain is stopping us from being whole. So when we go through the pain, we come out as a whole human, and often with a much greater sense of clarity around why we're here, our purpose. I'm ex-advertising, I'm a word nerd, I love slogans, so I put people's purpose into words, into a personal mission statement. And from there they can continue to do a deep dive, working with all these wonderful people to keep peeling the onion. So I'm like the jackhammer that breaks the concrete first up. Okay.
All right, so we're going to get you guys some chairs. So we've got the team here. They'll come over here. Raz Muhammad, great to see you again. And our sister, woohoo, come on. All right, so Tracy, maybe Janet, you can pass that microphone to Tracy, and then Tracy can introduce herself as well. Yeah.
And today?
Introduce yourself first.
All right, okay. My name's Tracy G. I'm here in Bali the last decade or so, and I'm sharing today about Health Hub Bali. I'm the founder of it. It's a platform. It's a platform to connect people to better health. It's a vehicle that it's not only just for the practitioners, but it's to connect us to the hospitals, to the professors, to the doctors, to the retreats, anything to do with health that we can get the best ever care.
Wonderful. And look, just a quick straw poll, right? So how many people here have been to a retreat? Raise your hands. Great. So how many here have been to a retreat in Bali? Raise your hand. Cool. Now, how many of you, this should make sense, have not been to a retreat and wonder what the hell they are? Raise your hand. One. It's okay, be honest, man. I'll put my hand up too. Right? Okay, great. So Tracy, so tonight's episode, this is episode number 20 of our collaboration, right? So what inspired you to think that, hey, this is now time to talk about retreat tourism? What was behind it for you?
Okay, so with the last 18 months or so, we've been laying the groundwork of the future of health. The issue is a few things that we've pointed to was the fact that we needed science, we needed health to be personalised and preventative. So there's information that people need. And as a rule, people are coming to Bali looking for something, looking for better health, but where can they find it? So our friends here will cover that a bit more. But why this is now pulling together everything that we've said. We're talking about starting west and going east. On the platform, we start with functional medicine, and then we curate personalised journeys, whether it be with a group or solo, that people, doesn't matter if they've had a diagnosis or they're just stressed, tired and stuck, they want to get better. We're talking transformation and real change. Otherwise, they're coming, they go back home, they may have gone on a retreat, it might have been a detox, it might have been a yoga retreat or something like this, but we're talking about permanent change and something that's sustainable and something that we can give support up to a year.
Look, we keep it pretty loose up here, pretty informal. As you can hear from just about everyone, we don't plan any of this. We have an idea of what we're going to talk about, but it's in flow because it's based on our own wheelhouse of knowledge, right? So the interesting part, though, is that just seeing the last 20 episodes, what has happened during these 20 months, Health Hub Bali, the platform that you started 10 years ago, connecting people to better health. Now you're working with government, you're advising different hospitals on what to do, as well as the many patients, practitioners, which are part of this whole network, right? So there's been a great deal of change, of scaling in a positive direction. I'm really happy to kind of see. Is there anything you'd like to say about that before we get started?
Yeah, because the thing is that when there are health issues, we're looking for something more than just going to the doctor and getting a diagnosis and then getting some tablets. What next? Who do you go to and who can you trust? So we need infrastructure there to support real healing. Like we said, we have medical, then we've got health, and a major component of that is healing. So the process is that's the process we'll discuss tonight, that journey to whole health. And originally it was wake up and live retreats. That's where we started, and there's different types of retreats. Tonight's about transformation.
And last question for the straw poll, I promise. So does everyone here know or be able to define what functional medicine is. So if you know what functional medicine is, raise your hand. All right, good. If you do not know what functional medicine is, raise your hand. Judith, do you know what functional medicine is? No, great. So please, one of you just explain what functional medicine is, and then we'll start, because we don't want to lose people. Trace?
Okay. All right. Basically, functional medicine it's about testing, but we're not looking at a disease model. We're looking at your body. We're looking at measurements. We're looking at root cause, why, and that's why we've formed also the word whole health. We're looking at every aspect that can contribute to health.
Great, and that's like mind, body, spirit, it's all of it,
but
right?
we want to know what's causing it. What's the root cause?
Wonderful. Yeah. Great. So first question, and I'm looking at Kai, but I should look at Dana instead. I'll look at Kai, it's okay. So the first question is, what is transformation versus knowledge? So what is transformation versus knowledge?
Yeah, as you've been talking, I've been getting a stream of what I want to share about this. So I'll share a premise first, which is some work that Bruce H. Lipton did. So for many of you, you may have heard of Dr. Bruce H. Lipton. For many, you may have not. But essentially, he was a stem cell biologist, and he researched stem cells. So what he did was he put stem cells into different cultured, he was actually culturing stem cells in different kind of bacterial petri dishes. And when he put it into one, that stem cell became a bone tissue. He put it in a different environment, different pH, acidity, etc. It became an organ tissue. He put it in another one and it became something else. And he started to understand there are cells in the body that are being created dependent on the environment in which they exist. So when we look at transformation, there are certain conditions. And in order to transform, we can look at the lifespan of a caterpillar. It's born, it has a certain formation, a certain shape, a certain structure, a certain genetic coding. At some point in its life, it goes into a cocoon, which is really just a metaphor for a complete rest. It's the cessation of activity. And in that process, what it does is it emulsifies its cells. It actually dissolves its own body into stem cells or imaginal cells. And then from there, it uses another blueprint, which already exists in its DNA, to reconstruct its body into a butterfly. And it breaks the chrysalis of the cocoon, and it takes on a new shape and a new life. And that can be a metaphor for people who are going through a healing process. Because once you have a disease in the body, it's actually about your lifestyle and the kind of thoughts and the feelings and emotions that you're creating on a daily basis. You're creating the tension. You're creating the dis-ease. And the first step or the condition is you have to bring that all to a halt. You can't keep thinking the same and just pump chemicals in your body, pharmaceuticals, things like that, because you're the generator of the disease. Right? You're given a body. How you use that body either creates health or disease. So it's you. If you don't stop what you're doing, or if you don't alter the way that you're causing disease, then nobody external can come in and give you support or change that path. So a retreat, a transformational retreat, it's essentially designed to disrupt the process of you creating your own disease. And that can be a mental disease, a mental ailment, or an emotional disease, or a physiological disease, but the first condition has to be a cessation of whatever you're doing that's causing the problem. Then a process that can bring you into a state of dissolution or altering at the level of energy who you are. And then on some level, once you have enough rest, or we may call it regulation, and if you're talking about the nervous system, your nervous system goes into complete rest, free from any protective mechanisms or defenses, and it can actually go into the state of healing. And then from there, we repattern it. We create new patterns. we create new processes, we create a new blueprint, right? So if those conditions are present, we're able to create transformation. Now, knowledge, on the other hand, knowledge is essentially information. I mean, I think there's a couple different contexts that we can look at it. Knowledge can be lived experience, which is one thing, but knowledge could also be acquired information. Anyone can go and read a book. Like, you can study the internet and read the same textbooks that the doctors are reading in their medical training, and you can have all the information, but it doesn't transform you. It may not change anything, right? So information is helpful, but the process that actually supports a person in their journey is the process of transformation. Just think about it. How many books have you read on any given topic, but you may not know anything really about how that process works? I can read a book about another country. I've never been there. You know, I haven't experienced it. If I want to go to Italy, because they talk about the food, and they talk about how amazing it is, I can read 1,000,000 books, but until I go there, I won't taste it for myself. I won't get that experience. I won't know it in my body. I won't be transformed by their culture, right? The other thing about transformative conditions is you have to be removed from your environment. Remember, Bruce H. Lipton discovered when the stem cells put in a different cultured environment, it can change its shape. It can actually change the kind of cell that it is. So most transformation retreats are designed in a way that it disrupts you from your environment in which you live. That's why sometimes doing work inside of the environment you live doesn't work, because you haven't disrupted the environment, which is also supporting the creation of thoughts, emotions, and behavioral patterns that are causing the disease. So to remove yourself from your environment and put yourself in a different condition where you're held, you're supported, you're safe, and you can fully relax, let down all defense mechanisms, and go through various processes which can revitalize you, that provides a better opportunity for transformation than being in your own environment. Yeah.
My brother, that's a great start. Hey, I've obviously known Kai for many years, and we've done lots of things together, from men's retreats or men's spaces and men's work and all the rest of that. Each time I hear you speak, it's super cool because you're able to put things in a way that is understandable, that you can follow in a sequential order, where it's kind of going. So I think it's really powerful beginning. And everyone here has their own voice that's unique to them and beautiful in its own way. But just want to, thanks for going first, my brother.
Yeah,
Dana,
thank you.
Yeah, over to you.
I have a question. Yeah. Can I ask?
So the questions, we'll leave for about another 15, 20 minutes. But yes. And that's for everybody, by the way. Yeah.
Knowledge, is acquired information. So anyone can pick up knowledge or information through the internet, right? Or we can pick up information by talking to your person next to you. It can be handed down from your family. And so, acquired knowledge, or it's information. But when it becomes transformative, it's when that information or that knowledge is put into practice, when we actually experience that which we are told. So we could be the parrot and parrot all the information and parrot what we read on the internet or Dr. Google or whatever. But until we truly experience it for ourselves or take someone through the experience, with your guidance, then you won't really know, what we can transform into when we're doing that. So first of all, knowing what you wish to transform to is a good place to be. And then doing or being that which you or who you need to be in order to transform is a greater understanding to have as well. And then when you can understand who it is that you need to be to then transform into that, then you can do the things that that person or that being would do as they transforming into that person or being that person. So, So knowledge is a good place to start, but we must experience it. So once we can experience it, then it's wisdom. And then I see transformation as a wisdom journey, right? And our timeline are the stepping stones for our wisdom journey. We acquire wisdom, like we can pause, zoom out, and take a bird's eye view, look down our timeline of all the things that we've learned. And then we can extract the wisdom, okay, extract the knowledge and wisdom from those experiences to really see and witness our own transformation unfolding in front of us. And then, seeing where it's leading us, and then we can make the changes as we see fit along the way.
Thank you, Dana. Beautiful. Janet, your fifth door is all about transformation. So I'll be interested to hear your take on this very same question of what is the difference between transformation and knowledge.
Yeah, and it's a really good time to be talking about this because we're at a point in our history where knowledge has never been so worthless. It's free. So having knowledge in your system is a bit of a so what. And where does that leave us to? Because AI now is the master of knowledge. And so do we have anywhere else to go but on the wisdom journey that you're talking about, which has to be a transformation? We can't just download wisdom. So wisdom, just think of wisdom. You don't have to be old with grey hair to be wise, by the way. The wisdom is innate in you. It's there. It's just that it's suppressed by pain, which expresses itself as fear. And so fear causes us, when we're making decisions based on fear, we make crazy decisions, right? We might go and marry someone because we're so fearful of being alone. Or we might put our hand up to do a job because we're so fearful of not having enough money. And so we create these problems for ourselves based on fear, and we never get to truly understand who we are. But once we can actually transform that fear, transmute it into something else, transmute that emotional pain into the energy of passion, that's when we're living a life fully lived. And that's when what happens is we start to be able to tap into our intuition. So let's just say, if you want to be simple about it, we're left brain oriented, but we also have the right brain. So left brain's logical, mathematical, the masculine approach, and then the right brain is more intuitive. It's where we tap into our creativity and imagination. This is the new terrain, the new territory for all of us to explore, because when you can tap into your intuition, you can solve any problem, you can make the right life choices, and happy days, a happier human race. So that's the invitation, I think, the transformational journey to become wise ahead of time. And that's when you can start to live a life that's truly fulfilling. Money plays its correct role. It's not the carrot anymore. It's a happy byproduct. We're finally living a life on purpose. That's a transformational state.
Beautiful. Love it. And look, just before we go to Tracy, if there's any comments you'd like to make, just a quick reminder, for those of you here in the studio audience, so what we really want to do, love to do, invite to do is questions, right? So in about 10 minutes, thereabouts 15 minutes maybe, there's a third microphone over here that will come to you. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Remember to point the microphone at you. Don't do this. Not with these mics. Point it at your mouth. Keep in mind as well that those people here will be on camera. So when you ask a question, you'll be on camera. If you have a question of more of a private nature that you don't really want to share with however many people, then after the session is done, there will be an opportunity to ask private questions one-on-one with whoever you're drawn to, all right? So just to keep you that insight. So, Tracy, so we've had this first question of, transformation versus knowledge. Got some really great answers, beautiful answers, right? Is there anything else that you feel that you want to add to or clarify in that before we move to the next question? And Janet's got the mic for you.
No, I think that is pretty good. Yeah. So, it's just applied.
Yeah.
But, we'll go into more about it in the science behind the journey. Yeah.
Well, let's go to that. The science behind the journey is the next question. So maybe you can start. You have the microphone. So what is the science behind the journey?
Well, science actually means knowledge in Latin. So so what we learn... You caught me off guard that time.
Look, this is my job to catch people off guard, right? In case you haven't noticed. Do it every week. Only been like 395 times. It's okay. I'm getting okay at it now.
Okay.
There you go. Enough time to recover. You got that.
The science behind the journey. Right. So the journey that we were talking about, transformation versus knowledge. So we need some action. But usually we're in a very uncomfortable state when transformation starts. So if we take the metamorphosis of the, the caterpillar to the butterfly. So it's a state where we're not comfortable, we're not okay, and we're saying that Bali is the catalyst for change, to come here, to get out of, like, I think Kai said, get out of wherever you are. The last year or so we've been saying, if you have a diagnosis, get out of wherever you are, come to Bali. And then if you've been given 2 months to live, let's get the testing done. That's the knowledge side of it. And then we find out why things are happening that way. And the transformation is step by step, in order, and that we unravel things so that innate, we can say generate health. Not even just create it, generate it, because it's in there. And there's a point in transformation, it's kind of a limbo spot where people just go into there and they are basically let go. And from that space, our own, like we said before, nervous system and everything kicks in, and our own healing power can take over. And they're the spaces that we can create here in Bali. But part of it is knowledge. We need to understand as humans to feel safe. That takes the fear out of it, yeah.
And then what would you say is the science behind the journey? Is that what you're saying? Or
that's
or
the science. It's the principles, it's the pathway. Science just means knowledge. All right, so how we understand it now, later on it may be different. And depending what you're talking about, if we're talking about physiology, emotional health or whatever, there's different types of journeys, yeah. But it's very personal and very individual.
Would anyone else here on the panel like to give their, what's coming up for them when we ask, what is the science behind the journey?
Yeah, I'll share. I have the benefit of witnessing 7,000 sessions and watching thousands of people go through, whether it's from couple sessions to year-long programs to weekend retreats to whatever it may be. And I've deduced what I'd call a methodology, or a series of stages that happen when I see people transform. Most times when I do it over like weekly sessions, it would take 3 weeks, but I've actually found it takes around 12 hours. That's just my personal journey. 12 hours after years of refinement, so it may be longer depending on what the circumstances are. But the first level is removing the defenses. A person who is protecting themselves from an initial trauma or something that's happened to their body, which is keeping it in a fight or flight response, they're not going to want to heal, because healing requires vulnerability and the nervous system to relax. And they're going to want to stay in a fight or flight response to protect themselves. So if people are in that state, if they're in an environment where they're in an abusive relationship, where they're in a stressful job, or maybe they don't have enough money to even survive, like that condition is very difficult for them to come out of fight or flight. It would actually be against their subconscious's hierarchy of needs. So for someone like that, getting them into a retreat setting, giving them the space, if they have the time to disconnect from what's going on, their reality, that could take a couple days for them to really just rest, to come to a point where they're not fighting and pushing. And so many people are just living from that state, right? What's the next thing I have to do? I need to do this thing, I have to heal, I need to fix myself, I have to... All of this stress we're creating just to get where? Running on a treadmill. So we have to get off the treadmill, that's the first step. And again, that looks like someone removing themselves from the environment in which they are living, which is stressful. Coming into a situation where their nervous system can relax and they can release their defense mechanisms. After they've released their defense mechanisms, which happen at the level of mental, emotional, and physiological, right? The body armors, so it holds breathing patterns, it contracts, it distorts, it turns. The mind avoids, it dissociates, it distracts, it represses, it denies. It has all these mechanisms. And then the emotions, they get suppressed, they get held with the breath, they get stuck. All of these are micro patterns that prevent the body's energy system from functioning normally. So if we can get all of those to shut off, the body will start to heal. The nervous system will reset. It'll go into a state of parasympathetic response, and it can start to do its job. But how long is it going to take to actually repair, right? In some cases, if someone has something like cancer, their body is actually creating mutated cells. How long is it going to take in repair for that process to stop? For that complex amalgamation of information to just withdraw back to its normal process? That's dependent on a number of factors. But the science behind it, or the methodology behind it, is essentially we have to, as human beings, come into a space of safety where we are no longer defending ourselves or protecting ourselves from things that have happened in the past or things we're afraid of happening in the future. And we have to come and be present to the point that we're vulnerable enough that our nervous system can go, I'm not at war, I'm not in a stressful situation, I can switch off from fight or flight and go into healing mode. And then from there, there's various things that need to happen. Cells obviously need to repair. There may be nutrients that may be missing. There may be various factors that functional medicine will address directly. But the healing process itself is innate. Like you're born with the ability to heal. Otherwise, the first scratch, when you had bacteria, you would have died. So like you already are healing. But when people get to the point where they need additional support, they are obstructing that healing process and they need intervention. But the intervention is just to disrupt the process causing disease. It doesn't cause healing. Your own body causes the healing. So the process of transformation, the science of it all, is really to get the process of disease to cease. Healing occurs naturally from within. How do we disrupt the pattern? And then provide the resources needed for the body to do its thing.
Thank you, Brother Kai. So anyone else on the panel want to speak about or speak into, that that same question?
I think here's hopefully a quick one. It's just to understand that we're the science experiment. Like we are actually the science experiment. We are what we place in the petri dish. The petri dish is Earth that we're here on. The variables, whatever you add to the petri dish, is your environment, and that's both physically, mentally, emotionally. That's both real and perceived, and that the variables will change and interchange depending on you in the moment, present moment, future moment, if you're transporting yourself there. And so, if we understand that we're the petri dish, we are the science experiment. Kind of like Brian Johnson? Is that the guy? Taking $1,000 worth of supplements. He's all about anti-aging. It's not about health, but it is about transformation. He's transforming himself from being whatever his age is now to, I think he's got the cells of an 18-year-old or something like that now, and he's looking super young, right? It's not necessarily health, but it is transformation. He's treated himself like a science experiment, and he's doing all the things, changing all the variables. He's asking questions, and high-quality questions, in order for him to do the things that he needs to create that transformation that he's desiring, which is to reverse aging. So I feel that for us, right, if we can just truly understand that we're the science experiment, we're also the scientist as well as that which is sitting inside the petri dish, then we can, meet the people on the panel and people all around that have these skill sets, viewpoints, both old and new, and then just explore it, play with it, and then truly experience it for yourself, and then you go and extract that wisdom, and then you can move forward through that transformative journey that you're on. So,
thank you. So, Janet, anything coming up for you? If there's not, that's okay. If there is, feel free to share.
Well, what came up for me is, being a word nerd, Latin was my favourite subject at school, would you believe? And I remember SCIO, SCIO meant I know. I am terrible at quoting science in terms of talking about brain structure and how the cells in the brain respond to transformation. But what I do know is that when we start to assume knowledge of our body, when we actually start to understand pain in our body, so say you've got an emotion. That emotion might be, maybe one of the most typical ones is anxiety from stress, anxiety caused by stress. And when you start to go, okay, where am I feeling this in my body? And you notice where it's showing up. It might be, a pit in your stomach, or a constriction across your chest, or it might be a weightiness on your shoulders. All your body wants you to do is to know it and acknowledge it. So what you were saying about we're the scientists, to start to become the observer of your own system, because your system is so sophisticated, it's so wise, it's just saying, please don't pop another pill. Just have the courage to start to understand this emotional stress that you're feeling, notice where it's showing up in your body, and as you just sit with it and observe it, don't run away from it, just sit with the discomfort of it, it will start to heal itself. It sounds incredibly simplistic, but knowing your body, knowing where it's showing up before it turns into a tumour. I think Tracy was saying 80% of cancers can be traced back to suppressed or repressed emotions. So if you start to just be with that emotion and that discomfort, you start to heal. It just wants to be seen. You know, like a toddler that's screaming, and you say, shut up, or you throw it in the room. How not to parent. That child just wants to be acknowledged. They just want to be seen. They just want you to get to their level, make eye contact with them, and just be with them. They just want to be seen. Your body's no different. It just wants to be known, and then it can be healed.
You know, there was, I think it was Dr. Lorena Law that we interviewed. I think that was more of a one-on-one. And she's a specialist with cancer and so on, right? And she was saying that based upon where the cancer's found, she can tell you the emotion that it was connected to. Guilt, failure to be able to let go of something, for example. And she, in that interview, she got really super specific on that process, which I thought was really important, fundamental, and kind of insightful as well. But look, really want to go to the audience. So the last question I want Tracy to quickly touch upon, and then we're going to go to you, right, is what makes Health Hub Bali retreats different? What makes Health Hub Bali retreats different? And then we're going to go to the audience for some questions.
Okay. So the difference is that...
See, I did it to her again, right? But Alicia's got...
Just,
You're going to punch me on camera? No. Unbelievable. I'm out of here.
Honestly, does anyone here have trouble promoting themselves? Just raise your hand if you have trouble promoting yourself. Yeah, we all do. I know why Tracy is brilliant, but she won't be able to tell you. Honestly, she is probably the most connected person on the island of Bali in terms of knowing who is who in the transformational space, whether it's physical healing, emotional, mental. She knows everyone. And not only that, she also has the skill of putting the right people with the right people. So it's not just a case of you go and see one person, have 6 sessions and it's over. Then she'll say, now you need to see this person. Now you need to see this person. It's called a curated journey. It's way beyond the realm of your GP. Your general practitioner. He just does not have that network or that knowledge. This is actually treating health as an intuitive process and just knowing the right people, not because you're motivated by money, because you are motivated to see someone genuinely get better and have a better quality of life. It's coming from heart. It's not coming from status or, look at me, I'm an important doctor. And I'm not putting down doctors. It's just that my dad was a doctor, a very good one. But I also know they can get caught up in their own circle and they don't like necessarily sharing their knowledge. So now that it's a free-for-all, you need to know someone who can actually point you in the right direction of the experts. And a retreat made up of the jewels of those people, the best people who offer a curated offering, to me makes a lot more sense than just randomly going out and doing a retreat somewhere because the advertising copy is compelling.
Anything you'd like to add to that? It was like Kai's coming in.
Yeah, me Me and Tracy had numerous conversations about this, but I think what's so important people to understand is that the sequence of healing is very important. Like, at one stage of a healing process, you may need some emotional work, but that shouldn't be done at the third point. You have to get the right thing done first. So sequence and order, it's so important. I learned this from Body Talk. We used to do muscle checking to understand the priority. So someone may come in with a headache, and I would check, muscle check, and say their left ankle. Go work on their left ankle. What specifically? Their left tarsal, the fourth one, do a scar tissue release there. I would do it. And then, without ever touching their head, they'd say, my headache's gone. So sequence, priority, this is important. Like, the body knows how to heal. If you can have someone who can see the bird's eye view journey and can order the right sequence for you, that's as important as getting the right practitioners, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I see being a benefit of Health Hub retreats.
You know, one of the other things, otherwise she's got a mean left hook. Really, what happened to Rob? No. So one of the other things which I think is really quite important is that, so I started off the show by describing the three types of tourism, health tourism, right? So you have, you know, wellness tourism, medical tourism at the top, which I think we know what that is, and then this health tourism in the middle. So one of the aspects which in this 20 episodes that we've been through is the importance of West meets East. So the importance of actually testing. So we had a guy, Tyler Tolman. Not sure if many of you guys know him. Tyler Tolman is like a specialist in detoxing, right? His dad, Don Tolman, is an incredible guy who I got the chance to meet. But just phenomenal people, very good at what they do, globally renowned, right? Or renowned. So one of the things that he brought up, which basically identifies what I'm talking about, is that people often know that detoxing is good for you. And then maybe they'll read something somewhere, or they'll pick up something and say, right, I've got to do this detox, and they'll jump into a water fast, or they'll jump into something. Where Health Hub differs from those is what he said next, which was, it is the most important thing to know exactly where you stand from a scientific standpoint. In other words, to measure all of the basal characteristics of you. So one person over here, let's call him person A, maybe could do a water fast for 1 or 2 days, or 3 days, or 10 days. His body is attuned or strong enough to do that. Whereas another person who might look in a better state than this guy, maybe at the opposite end of the spectrum, and his body cannot support doing a water fast for 0 days, right? So instead of, you know, this kind of I believe, I feel, which is relevant, science can give you the actual measurements of what or where a person's at. I'll give you one more example, and this will kind of nail it. So I won't tell you the name of the scan. You have to ask her for that. So I went to her. I interviewed the founder as well, right? Now, it's done like this. Imagine a pen, a probe, so non-invasive, okay? I was topless, okay? Full disclosure here, but nothing else, right? So 120 temperature readings on the upper part of my body, okay? Then the room is cooled down, and we do the same 120 measure points again. The difference in temperature, not a great deal, it didn't feel like a great deal. So the difference in temperature put through a software. Now, what then happens is that software over years and years and years and years and years of scientific backed research is then able to give you like a scan of your body from a, I guess, latest tech thermography standpoint. I've given some of it away. And through that one test has been shown scientifically, has been shown to be 6 months ahead of other tests. So in other words, 6 months, it can tell you what you're predisposed to feeling in 6 months' time, for example, right? So therefore, that's the west side. West meets east. So now you can have these precautionary measures to ensure, if you follow them, that you will not express those same weaknesses or predispositions which there are present in your body. So in other words, it's using science to not guess or not feel, but to know precisely where your body is at right now. And then what next, as Janet mentioned before, customized journey for you individually is needed. Because again, myself and this handsome man sitting over here, we might both look the same or similar, but his journey could be very different from mine and vice versa. So it's individualized. So this is an important aspect of what Health Hub offers. I think I've just saved myself a left hook, which is good. So what we're going to do, we're going to ask or invite you for questions now. So you might be in three places. One might be, I couldn't possibly ask that question because it sounds a bit silly. If you're in that place, ask it anyway because other people might be having the same question. Number two might be, maybe they've said that already. Just ask. I'm sure we'll make it sound really good, so we're going to make you sound like that question has never been asked before. Or number three might be just too damn frightened to ask the question. In that case, someone else, use the courage, help them out, ask the question. Before we get there, I want to remind you of the, let's say, the area of specialization of each person. And they're going to give you their name again in case you can't remember their name. So we'll start from you, Kai. So literally 20, 30 seconds. You girls can think about what this is going to be. 20 or 30 seconds, just quickly explain the area of specialization or area of practice that you are basically doing. So anyone in here, if they have a question that's related to that, will come to you. And we'll go through from yourself all the way to Tracy. So starting with your brother.
My area of specialization has changed over the years. It's changed, it's evolved. But right now, what I see the most is people who have a certain nonverbal layer of, we'll say, trauma or a core wound that they can't access cognitively. There's no way to get to it. Even breath work would be a forceful way of approaching it. There is a very subtle and non-forceful way to get into that and to experience it with full consciousness. I've even had people say it's like plant medicine without the medicine. Because you can bring your awareness into the body, you can raise the pitch of energy, the kundalini, and you can create an altered state just with your own body. Without breathing, without doing stuff, just energetically. And when that happens, your awareness raises, and you begin to see things from your subconscious that enter into your conscious awareness that you didn't know. And so it's for people who really are at probably a more advanced place in their healing. They've tried everything, but they know that there's a block that they just can't see past. And I help them get past those blocks. And a lot of it is emotional release, a lot of it is awareness-based, but yeah, it's typically the last thing that they would want to see. Is the thing that they get to see. Beautiful, brother. Yeah. Thank you very much. Not quite 30 seconds, but it sounded good, right? Okay. And you got a good idea of what he does, right? So, Sister Dana, over to you, my dear.
So I help people connect with their body wisdom. That's through unblocking the lymphatic system, and that's utilizing their own hands as the tool, not needing anyone else. So not me, I don't touch. They do it themselves. Or if they don't have hands, they have somebody else's hands. And then utilizing the flow that they use or that they gain from inside is to help them move their body with flow and freedom. So it's really just a journey really from that force to flow, right? Creating freedom in the body through lymphatic flow and just movement medicine or conscious movement.
Thank you, darling. Janet.
Yeah, so I said before I work with emotional pain. I particularly love working with men because that's where I see the most suppressed emotional pain. Typically men on the brink of divorce or men who are in corporate jobs and the job is slowly killing them and they don't know where to go. People who have a seed, a concept of why am I feeling this way? Is there a bigger life? Is there a better way? How do I get through this? How do I get to the other side of this? So I think if we have more men who love themselves from the inside out, the world's going to be a better place.
Amen. You pass it to Tracy. Yeah.
That's a question.
Yeah, so it's basically we're honing into our studio audience who might have questions. So we're just giving them a frame by which they understand what we do, so then they can tailor their question to the right person.
All right. So I basically say it as we sit, I'm a connector. I can connect you to better health, to who you might need to be connected, but more importantly, connect to yourself. Because at the end of the day, as your journey comes and you go along your journey, you actually feel okay, and we're all okay.
Sister Ai or Hadis, if you can take the microphone from Brother Kai, right, and then we'll so any questions, feel free to raise your hand. So Hadis, yeah, just over here, my brother, yeah. Great, so just remember these questions now, they'll be on camera. If you don't want to be on camera, just wait till afterwards, yeah? Yeah. Thank you, brother.
Hi, my name's Ali. My question was, is it Janet? Sorry, yeah. So I'm quite new to the retreat space, and I'm kind of in the process of putting my first retreat together. And
Great timing, brother.
Exactly.
My God, love it.
Yeah. And I deal with people in the kind of addiction and sobriety space. A lot of my guys are coming from corporate London. That's where like my background is, and my aim for my audience and my retreat is for a lot of these guys, this is their first experience stepping into anything in this holistic space. Like a lot of the words that fly around Bali that exist in this sort of echo chamber do not land with my guys. So my background as well is in advertising, and I know the importance of sort of the communication side of what's needed to bring the people that need to do the work into the space without using language and vocabulary that just alienates us as this weird bunch of hippies that live on this island the other side of the world.
Love it.
Yeah, so how to connect with them and how to get them across, yeah.
Yeah, and that's from a point of what's the weighting of importance on knowledge, transformation and wisdom from where they are at in their journey at the moment.
Yeah, I think, the more pinpointed you can be in your approach, this as an advertising person, so speaking to a particular niche and playing back that pain point, but not staying with the pain, bringing it to pleasure. So, for example, I work with a lot of men in the UK who don't have the same history of personal development, say, that they would have in the US. So it can be a new thing. And there can be, so firstly, it's just to explain the transition in a way that they understand in their language. Just simple language, like it's not about spirituality and finding your inner guide or whatever. It's none of that. It might be just as simple as get unstuck. You want to get unstuck? You're feeling stuck, feeling confused, using very, very simple language. And I think probably there's also a thought of, yeah, but can I do this? Can I really do this? What I do is I will have a call with someone before I work with them to take them on a sample journey so that they can get an easy win in the space of an hour, which sounds like quite an investment of time, but it's way better than wasting your time with people or trying to invite people over when they're never going to come. It's too big an investment. So I think it's well worth spending time with someone before who might be considering coming to Bali. I mean, it's a big move to jump on a plane, invest thousands of dollars for something that might not work. So I think you've got to give them a little bit of a virtual experience first where they can have some kind of transformational experience online. And then you say, you know what, if you got this online in just the space of an hour, imagine what you can do in person in the Island of the Gods, which is like a transformational space anyway, and no distractions. So I think there's a little bit of a process to this, honestly. But yeah, I believe in taking a pragmatic, process-driven, almost like a stoic approach. I think that suits the masculine model as well, so they're in familiar territory. We know we're getting them to their feminine side, but we don't talk about that. What we say is we're going to get there in a very structured, step-by-step way. I'm going to be with you the whole time. It's a guided process. Make it feel very, very masculine, very structured, and then within that structure they can feel safe.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Great question. Great answer too. So any other questions? See a hand raising around here. They're thinking about it. That's pretty good. So I have a question, right? So there are some horror stories, right, in retreats in Bali, right? So what would you say, and this is a general question now, is the one thing that comes up that is most overlooked about retreats in Bali and what's the solution to it. So the one thing that's most overlooked where people can run into a spot of bother, and what's the solution? And this is to anyone who's... Janet, I can see you're ready for it. Go on, darling. Go on.
I'm going to go. I know. I'm going to get angry now. No, I've spent a lot of money on retreats that are a total waste of time, honestly. It was Ponzi scheme, pyramid selling. This is going to change your life. And then you go, what? I come out of it and I go, I might have got 1 or 2 nuggets, but really, was that worth $15,000? And then the worst part is there's no follow-up. No one even bothers to call you afterwards. Oh, how are you? Did it work? There's no accountability. It's like it's all about just getting bodies into a room. I'm not saying this about anyone here. I'm just saying that's been my experience with overseas retreats. That was the reason I got into this field. Honestly, it's the reason, because I thought this isn't good enough. We have to care about people. We have to know that if something's not working, or you have some follow-up program, an implementation program to integrate everything when they get back home, and when all the rallies said you paid what for that trip to Bali, you know, that they've got someone there who has their back to support them in that integration process.
Love it. Dana, I know you got something to say. Pass that on. So the question again is like, the one that comes up in your mind, right, of prime priority, and it's so what was like the biggest problem or the challenge, and what's the solution?
For me, it's when it's ego-driven. So when it's about the one thing or the one method, and that nothing else works, and it's more of a, follow this way. This is the only way. And everything else is going to either make you die, or it's the devil or whatever. Like it's just, this is the way. Very dogmatic. And I find like what we shared earlier about everyone is different. Everyone's at different spots in their journey, different place with their body, different entry level. Like with the corporate guys, I'm ex-military, so this stuff used to be very woo-woo for me. Not in my field at all, and so that's why it's forced to flow. I've finally found the flow part.
I didn't know she was ex-military, by the way. Now I've got to really be careful. I've got a left hook over here. I've got military over there. I'm just treading lightly and carefully all the way home.
So the ego drive for me is it frustrates me. I think the solution for that is really about the collaborative movement, which is like what we were saying. It's not about the one person. It is about the collective, movement, and about the modalities that are available, and that are available for the individual at that time of the retreat, or of that time of their transformation. Because, like I said, not everything was available to me. There was no way I was thinking about Bali and retreat and doing the old, namaste, type thing.
I love you, Dana.
No, not at all. However, now I am in such a different space that I can see that it is available to me, and I have choice on whether I go into that or not. So dogmatic approach, no choice. I don't like that. But an all-encompassing collective approach, I have choice, and so my integration process is what I choose from what's available to me, and that is accepted by my intuition, and then I can move forward from there with my wisdom journey.
Love it. Brother Kai, I know you got something to say, but before we get to you, I just want to honesty check with the audience. Raise your hand if you have an ego. Damn it, they all raised their hand. Oh, there's one here. Oh, you did. Okay, all right. Because if no one raised their hand, I was going to call them out on national television. Well, not quite national television, but good. I'm glad we all acknowledge that we all have an ego. That's good. Brother Kai, over to you.
Yeah, this is a really big question. But I think you guys alluded to a number of very important things, like the integration, the ego, or the non-collaborative approach, like a non-holistic approach, I would call that, because, again, people are functioning on different levels. They're coming in from different places. You may have marketed well. That's what most of this world is about now. If you don't know, most of it is good marketing. And then there's some of it that's actually real. Like, if you're looking for retreats, understand that 80% is because somebody took a good marketing program. That's why you're saying yes. And then 20% is because that person has the capability to give you that result. And just to know that going in, just to understand that as a consumer, as a person who's looking for support, that there's, just like being a coach, there's no regulatory body. It's not like a doctor. You don't have to go through a very rigorous process. Anyone can run a retreat. My son can run a retreat. He's, for his friends. And I can help with marketing and sell it. But what are you really getting? Marketing is one thing. The real nuts and bolts are another. So this is the main issue, is that what people are saying they can do, they can't really do. And the market itself, the industry itself is so saturated with a lack of capability to back the marketing. And now what I'm noticing is there's a lot of even apprehension in people because they're starting to catch on to this. So maybe you have the real deal who doesn't have good marketing, who could really help, but they don't look as appealing as the person who's got the great marketing. So this is one of the main issues. I think it's an industry-wide issue. It's not about the retreats itself. It's about, you can't regulate the retreat industry space. There's billions of dollars going into different, health-related wellness things, information products, etc. It's becoming rampant. One solution is to make sure that you have an experience before you go there. People should be offering an experience before you sign up and sell your car to go and do this thing that you think might work, and then there's no refund policy, no nothing. Like, it's just really, you have to protect yourself at the end of the day. It's not up to the retreat facilitators. And then the other thing is integration. I have seen way too many people. I don't have an issue with kind of plant medicine as a modality, but I have an issue with the way that is integrated into daily life. I've seen way too many people go too far too fast and fall and smash on their face when they get back into their real life. And that's one of the pitfalls, is we have to be conscious of where they're walking back into their life after they've gotten their experience here. Because I work in relational repair a lot. We work with couples. If you're in an environment where there's abuse and there's something going on, if this person transforms and walks right back in, they'll go back into the same neural patterns. So anyway, you do all this work and then you get drawn back into the same neural patterning. Now it's a waste of resources. And you had a glimpse of the experience, but it doesn't integrate into your daily life. So what was the point? So this is the thing about that get there fast approach, the flashy approach. We always say we don't sell quick fixes. You got to do the real work. You got to be ready to do the real work. And that could mean integration is a series of practices given that you implement into your daily life. That can mean integration is follow-up calls and group integration. These are things that facilitators can look at and provide. But a lot of it is an industry-wide issue, I think. Just to be aware of that is going to protect you a lot. Be a little bit skeptical. See if you can get a personal experience first. That's maybe the only way to resolve some of these issues.
Thank you, brother. So I know, Tracy, you've got something to add to that. So if you just pass this back on this way. Yeah, I'm looking at... Did you see her eyes? The look in her eye when I spoke? It's like...
Sorry, I don't know. What's your name? Hey? Ali, yeah. So the question came from you about you're bringing a team from US?
Just put microphone, yeah. Just wait for the mic to get you, brother.
Yeah, so it's just the people that I'll be bringing out here will be largely from the UK. It's not just men, there's women as well, but in the process I've found women are a bit more sort of trusting and leaning into that.
What are they looking for?
Largely, I think from what you were talking about earlier, it's the main appetite is it's just so different. It's going to help me break the cycle of drinking with my work colleagues all the time, being 2 pints in and calling up my dealer. It's going to be such a different experience that it's hopefully going to give me the opportunity to reset some stuff.
Yeah. Are they corporate?
Some of them are corporate. A lot of them are self-employed or have their own businesses and the stresses that come with being an entrepreneur and self-employed.
So that's what the platform Health Hub model is about. Is supporting guys like you or anybody bringing retreats here into Bali. We want to make everything legal, legitimate and credible, number one. And for anybody coming, that it be cost effective, systemic and sustainable. And then we back that up. And the other part of it is really honouring the Balinese and this country and the energy that we have here. And we want to give back to Bali as well. So we're working with the hospitals. We want proper testing so you can actually bring more dignity to the work. It's not just doing these other type of retreats, but even prior to that, they can have testing in London or wherever they're from and then come here. And then we have doctors here that we can integrate, and there's all different levels. We can do Balinese or Sada, the Western, Ayurvedic, Chinese medicine, and all the other different modalities, somatic work that they can explore. It can be managed like a Bali taster, but in a very pragmatic way, and that each individual can get, like it's a journey, they can explore their own health. Otherwise, they're just coming, they're lost. They actually need guides, navigators, co-pilots.
Yeah. And does that work where you've got quite a large, say like a group of about 20 people? Like just logistically, I'm thinking from managing that as a business, like 20 people all doing different things on the same day.
So,
or is it better for smaller groups or kind of one-on-one retreats?
It doesn't matter. Like somebody's got 240 people coming, so we're trying to get our head around that. But then having just come back from Jakarta, they're used to managing, I think for Haji, they said 240,000 people they manage.
Oh, wow.
So crowd management, we're talking a big country here. So the idea is that we've got the basic principles there, and from those principles we can build out.
Awesome. Thank you.
I mean, look, just is there something, or are you just passing the microphone?
I was just going to say one thing. I think the currency of life going forward is going to be trust. We're getting to a stage where if we see a photo of someone online, we don't know if that's them, if it's been doctored. So one of the good things about a retreat is you can work with someone online on the Zoom room, which I pretty much do all the time. However, when you actually see someone in the flesh, there's nothing like that. You're developing a bond. So I think one of the, like if I was in your shoes, for example, I'd probably talk to Tracy. I'd say, this is my audience. These are their issues. It's not full-on addiction, but they're going down the wrong path and they need a pattern disrupt. We know that it's not going to be a one quick fix, that as soon as they go back home, back into that environment, they're going to be challenged again. So what this is, it's exposing them to what's available. And one of the things Tracy can do is potentially put you in touch with 6 different practitioners. One will be doing body work, somatic work, breath work, someone else mindset. You can continue these relationships when they get home. They've met these people, they've worked with them, they've gone, I like that person, yeah, that one didn't do anything for me, but now they're coming from a place of knowledge. And then I imagine you would oversee this too. You know, you would run these as community online events. You working with these practitioners that they've already met now in their home space, so it probably makes for a much more successful transformation.
Yeah, that's 100% what I was thinking. Almost having this as it's their first retreat, like they might come on retreats in the future where they're doing a kind of a week or 10 days in a real specialised modality, but almost this to be like a little tasting menu of like, you know, here's your first breathwork experience, here's your first sound healing, here's your first this, here's your first that, and them being able to see how they're feeling different, and then I can just sort of oversee them and kind of lead them through that process, but get the other facilitators to do their magic.
It just doesn't stop there. In London, we have doctors and practitioners there.
Awesome.
This is their other side of Health Hub Global. Many have lived here for decades. Now they're in Tuscany. They've got centres there. So we can got somebody about to move to Barcelona.
Yes.
So we can hook in the same model They're testing, they're educating, they're treatments.
We'll chat more after. I realise I've bulldozed your podcast. Sorry.
You're all good, brother. So look, we'll begin to wrap up there anyway. I think it's a good time. But I guess there's three things I want to quickly close with. And Tracy, if there's anything you want to add, just have a think now. You've got about 2 minutes to think. So Health Hub Bali, right? So this is what episode number 20 in this series, which is the first Monday of every month. So SpeakuP Monday is every week, but this specific episode is devoted to health. And again, it says collaborations collective with my sister Tracy over here. And that's the first Monday of every month. If you live here in Bali, what I highly strongly recommend that you do is go to Health Hub Bali, which is based Pantai Pereira Nan, opposite Monsieur Spoon. So if you know where Pantai Pereira Nan is, opposite Monsieur Spoon, that's where Health Hub Bali is. And based upon what's happening, check the social media website. Well, mainly probably the social media, so like your Instagram and so on. There are different events that happen, like health markets, opportunities to spend a much deeper time with Kai or Dana or Janet or Tracy, right? So you have these sorts of opportunities that testing device, which I didn't give you the name on purpose, is at Health Hub Bali, along with plenty of others, science-backed. So it's not guesswork, it's precise work, yeah? So you've got all of those. Remember that Health Hub Bali has three things which I think are quite important. Number one is, in no particular order, is that Tracy still now is on calls every regular period of time with some of the most eminent practitioners around the world in all of these different areas that we've been talking about tonight and many others. So a dissemination of real-time knowledge, latest knowledge, is where she's very good at. Number two, we've spoken about this individualized client journey, but backed by science, right? That's the important part, so it's measurable. Yeah? So this comes through Health Hub Bali as well. Practitioners like the beautiful people that you're seeing right here, like Janet, Dana, and Brother Kai right there, and the many others that have been on this SpeakuP/Health Hub Bali episodes over the last 20 months. And the third one is about this accreditation, which is kind of what we were kind of getting to towards the end there, and what Kai alluded to. And by the way, we could do a whole episode on integration alone, because that's such an important topic. So then, yeah, how do you know that the people that you're going with are accredited? How do you know the people that you're going with know what they're doing? And they're not just great at marketing, but actually great at the modality itself, right? How do you know, right? So this accreditation aspect, these are the three different levels of Health Hub Bali. And as I mentioned before, Pantai Pereira Nan here in close to Canggu is where you'll find opposite Monsieur Spoon, giving Monsieur Spoon a lot of business. But it's okay. So that's what we have. This has been episode number 395. I just want to thank Tropical Nomad, my brothers and sisters. We've got Guzman, Ayu around here somewhere, and Brother Hadis, who's out the back looking handsome. Good man. So we're going to have a photo, right? So we're going to end soon, and we're going to have a photo of everybody that's here. We're going to capture the moment, right? So we're going to do that, so make sure you don't go anywhere. And as I mentioned before, if you have something of more of a private nature and you want to have a chat to Kai, Dana, Janet, or Sister Tracy here, you'll have that opportunity without any cameras or microphones being on you, all right? So, Tracy, is there anything you'd like to add to that? You're good? All right, wonderful. Well, look, round of applause to you. Thank you for coming. Look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.